Good morning, Rabotai, Tizku Leshanim Rabot, Mo'adim Lesimcha to everybody in this beautiful day of Chol hamoed, corresponding to the 18th day of Nisan, April the 23rd, the live video feed Lighthouse Torah Project dedicated Le'ilui Nishmat Devorah Feige Bat Shemuel, as well as Refuah Shelema of Ora Devorah Bat Rivka. The iTorah.com live audio recording sponsored L'Refuah Shelema David Menachem Ben Devorah Leah and Shidduch for Nehama Dina Bat Hanabatia among all the single boys and girls from Am Israel, all inclusive. Second round as well. Anyways, today we'll attempt, Be'ezat Hashem, to take a dive into the actual counting of the Omer. Yesterday, we spent a while explaining the concept of the Omer, the messages of the Omer, but now we are going to dissect the messages. And I start with a very basic opening statement and the reason I'm saying this now is just so we can go along in a proper way. This week, it's all about Hesed. This week belongs to Avraham Avinu. As we pointed out yesterday, every day of the Omer counting, at the bottom of the counting, you see the fine print. You know, they always tell you, look at the fine print, read the fine print in a contract. So we're going to read the fine print of Sefirat HaOmer to truly understand what is the meaning of the day of Sefirat HaOmer. At the end of the day, we do the counting of the day, but we need to make sure that every day counts. And that is the idea of the Omer. So if you look at the fine print, we have already by the third day of the Omer, so we're going to attempt, Be'ezat Hashem, to cover 3 days today. And tomorrow, Be'ezat Hashem, we go a bit slower. So the first day, for the video audience, Hesed Sheva Hesed, next, Gevurah Sheva Hesed, and the bottom, Tiferet Sheva Hesed. This fine print is, in a nutshell, what each day of the Omer represents. I ask you a question. What they represent? Okay, today is the third day of the Omer. Yesterday was the second, and the day before was the first. What difference does it make in your life? 1, 2, 3. Not much. But now we're going to understand how each day of the Omer represents a different message in the person's life. And as we said in the opening statement of this topic yesterday and the day before, and especially during Yom Tov, the whole idea of Sefirat HaOmer is the topic of refining ourselves spiritually. But in order for us to do that, we need to activate a 3-point exercise daily. One that connects us with Hashem, one that connects us with our fellow men, and one that connects us with ourselves. Because how important is everybody else's connection, but also our connection with one another, it's mandatory in life. For example, the topic of self-esteem, correct? What is the idea of self-esteem? Self-esteem affects us directly, besides what happens in the world. So I'm going to go quickly through the first 2 days. Now, action plan, Ben Adam Lamakom. We know that in our daily prayers, we have the Amidah. In the Amidah we begin, Elokeinu ve'Elokei Abotenu, Elokei Abraham, Elokei Ishak, ve'Elokei Yaakov. We are opening the statement by blessing Hashem and invoking the name of our forefathers, Abraham, Ishak, and Yaakov. And when I gave the earlier class today, we asked the question to the audience, if the tefillah is already telling me, Elokeinu ve'Elokei Abotenu, God of our forefathers, if you go to any of the young members of our father and son minyan, and you ask them, who were the forefathers of the Jewish people? Everyone will tell us, Abraham, Ishak, and Yaakov. So why does the tefillah needs to remind me who they were? Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. So one answer is that the tefillah is trying to tell us that no one rely on the other's accomplishments. Each one, Abraham on his merit, Isaac in his merit, and Yaakov in his merit, work hard on themselves to become the founding fathers of Am Israel. There is nothing wrong to rely on Zechut Avot. The opposite. According to our holy rabbis, most of our blessings and our success and our achievements in life is based on Zechut Avot. The investments that our forefathers did in life, we are reaping the benefits. And whatever we are doing is going to be for the future generation. This is something that it needs to be part of our thought process, that we have something known as Zechut Avot. The Gemara also tells us, Ma'aseh Avot Siman Labanim. In English, this means the action of the parents is a great symbol or example to the children. And this statement from the Talmud can be explained in many ways. One way, in day-to-day parenting. Day-to-day parenting. You want to educate your child? The best formula is setting an example. Setting an example of respect, of derech eretz, of irat shamayim, of avodat Hashem. You know, sometimes parents speak to the children, and the children, they don't listen. Why they don't listen? Because the speech of the parents don't match the action of the parents. So in English, don't they say in English, a picture is worth 1,000 words? Same thing in this concept. Ma'aseh Avot Siman Labanim. As we find in the story of Shimshon, when the Malach says to Manoah, whatever I told your wife to do, you should do. And the Mefarshim explains that Manoah is being told by the Malach, if you want your son to become a Nazir, if you want your son to become a holy person, you need to start becoming holy. You cannot expect a child will become holy if the father is unholy, so to speak, or the father doesn't act the way that he's telling his son to do. That is one explanation. The Gemara tells us, Ehad Haya Abraham. Abraham Avinu alayhi shalom was one of a kind. Even though we all are one of a kind, but when you talk about Abraham Avinu alayhi shalom, it's a different level altogether. Let's travel back to the history of Abraham Avinu. First, Abraham Avinu was not born Abraham Avinu. He was born as Abraham, the son of Terah. The Pasuk says in our daily prayers, Atau Hashem Elokim, Asher Baharta be'Abram, behoseto meur kasdim, besamta shemo Abraham. The name of Abraham was changed from Avram to Abraham. A letter was added to his name. Which letter? The letter He of Hashem's name. The Gemara tells us that there are three things that can change the mazal of a person. Abraham and Sarai, or I should say Avram and Sarai, based on their mazal, if there is such a word in English, based on their spiritual connection with the stars, with astrology, they were not scheduled to have children. They were barren. They were married 75 years before both of them, Abraham and Sarah, became the father of Isaac. Yes, Abraham Avinu became the father of Ishmael 13 years later, but how old was he? 86 years old. You understand? Or 80, 85 years old. Can you imagine? From 0 to 85, no children? Usually the older the person becomes, the less possibilities are there. Same thing with marriage. The younger the person is, the easier it will become. Not that it's impossible, because we hear miracles, we hear IVF treatments, we hear different situations, but let's go back over 4,000 years ago, Rabotai. Abraham Avinu, just for the record, was born in the year 1948 since the creation of the world. 20 generations between Adam and Abraham. Adam to Noah 10, Noah to Abraham another 10. So 2,000 years go through the history of the world before a great man comes to the picture of the world. Not that there were no great men before Abraham Avinu, but no one was in the level of Abraham Avinu to change the face of the world. Now, it's not easy to change the face of the world. Most of us, we don't like to go against the world. We don't like to be isolated and separated. We like to be all-inclusive. And this was one of the challenges that Abraham Avinu had to overcome. The entire world, without exception, was believing in idolatry, was believing in statues, was believing in an idol made 2 hours ago. And this is who they became their God, including his father. And Abraham Avinu, as we just said, Beosetome ur kasdim, Abraham Avinu is cast into the fire for challenging the king Nimrod that made himself a god. And all after that, Abraham suddenly has a new identity. From Abraham, it's called Abraham. And the Gemara tells us there are 3 things that can change the mazal of the person. One of them, changing a name. Shinui Hashem. And this halakha of Shinui Hashem is something done, I don't want to say daily, but it's something done more often than you think. I'm not talking about witness protection program. They give you a new identity. No. Haz v'shalom. No, I need to clarify. I know you're getting ideas already. No. It means that we add a name to your name. For example, somebody, Haz v'shalom, that is going through a critical situation, medically speaking, and the life of the person is in danger, many times they add a name. For example, they add the name Rafael, Rahamim, Hayim. These are very common names. Or Haya in the case of a lady. Why we add a name? Because the prayer says, God forbid there is a decree. But there is no decree against Hayim Abraham. And we hope that through the change of name and the power of prayer, that Shamayim will reset the button of welfare of this person. This is one game plan that the Gemara brings. The second option is Meshane Makom, Meshane Mazal. Switching locations, moving to a different city. Even in the world of business, if you see that some goods are not moving, relocate them in the store, because you're going to reactivate the location, you're going to reactivate their mazal. And the third one, the Gemara says, is a change that is required. What kind of change? Change in attitude, change in behavior. Teshuvah, doing a mitzvah, learning Torah, whatever area a person says, you know what, in this particular area, I need reinforcement. And it could be something simple as praying with a minyan, or it could be something as simple of reminding ourselves to say berachot, or saying birkot hashachar, or doing netilat yadayim properly. Each person knows in which area through the shiurim of Torah. I'm sure that many of us ask ourselves, wow, I never heard such a thing. I wasn't doing it right all my life. Whatever statement crosses your mind, try to take something, and guess what? The Gemara writes that Shinui Ma'aseh, actually we find it, the Gemara quotes the pasuk in Maftir Yonah. Maftir Yonah, the faith. Why do we read that Aftara in Kippur? Short answer, because that Aftara is the foundation of Teshuvah. The pasuk says that Yonah spoke to the king of Nineveh and says everybody is going to fast for the next 3 days, including the animals. Including the animals of the city. What was the end? The pasuk says, Vayar Hashem kishabu midarkehem ara'ah. And God saw that they changed their behavior. For the Gemara learns, the pasuk didn't say God saw their fasting, or God saw how they were wearing sackcloth as a sign of mourning. What the pasuk says, they change. They change. Beshavu midarkam hara'a. They reverse their behavior. This is what happened with Abraham Avinu. Abraham Avinu needed to overcome a huge amount of pressure. And that's why the pasuk says in Sefer Bereshit, listen to this pasuk. Ele toledot hashamayim veha'ares behibaream. Translation. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created. The Zohar says, Al tikre ve'ibareham ela be'avraham. It says, don't read when they were created, but reverse the letters or reshuffle the letters, and you're going to come to the word Be-Avraham, meaning to say, Avraham, Mehila, that the Torah is hinting us that the entire creation of the world, from day one of Adam and Hava, was justified for the arrival of Abraham Avinu alav shalom. And that's the reason why in our prayers, at the end of the first blessing, what do we say? Baruch atah Hashem Magen Abraham. Why don't we say Magen Abraham, Ishak and Yaakov? If you already said Elokeinu Elokei Avotenu, Elokei Abraham, Elokei Ishak, Elokei Yaakov, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why don't we say the shield of Abraham, Ishak, and Yaakov? What do we say? The shield of Abraham. Short answer, because if Abraham Avinu does not become Abraham, we don't know if Ishak and Yaakov would have become Ishak and Yaakov. Meaning to say, Ma'aseh Avot, Siman Labanim. The behavior of Abraham Avinu, how Abraham Avinu followed the truth. As there are many opinions, how old was Abraham Avinu when he recognized HaKadosh Baruch Hu? One opinion says 3 years old. Other opinion says 60-something. The opinion that says 3 because the pasuk says, Ekev, asher shama Abraham bekoli, Baishmor mishmarti mizvotai torotai bechukotai. Ekev. The numerical value of the word Ekev is 172. How old was Abraham when he died? 175. So God is testifying for 172 years, Abraham and I have a good relationship. What relationship? Following the footsteps of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is, Rabotai, the idea, the introduction, so to speak, to the first day of Sefirat Omer. Hesed Sheva Hesed. Understanding that Hashem's kindness to us wasn't limited to Egypt, but actually Hashem's Hesed started from the time of Abraham Avinu. That Borei Olam holds the hand of Abraham, and generation after generation, the mission of Abraham is who we are. Do you think that Avodah Zarah is the only enemy that the Jewish people have? Avodah Zarah today, idolatry, is almost gone from the world. Maybe there could be isolated countries in the world, maybe Central America, some of the islands, maybe the Far East. That's where idolatry could exist. But the majority of this part of the world doesn't have idolatry. Maybe religions, Islam and Christianity, etc. But to the magnitude of idolatry, idol worshipping, it's almost gone from the world. And this is thanks to our holy rabbis, because we need to remember that there was a chapter of history till almost 2,000 years ago that idolatry was the worst enemy of the person. Worse headache than money and attraction to the opposite gender. That was temptation number 2 or 3. Temptation number 1, the Gemara says, Avodah Zarah. That's why there were many Jewish kings, and unfortunately, many Jewish people involved in idolatry. But let's remove idolatry for a moment. What is idolatry? What is Avodah Zarah? Avodah Zarah is an element that creates a mechitza between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we understand that Avodah Zarah, which if you understand the literal meaning of Avodah Zarah, let's dissect the meaning of the word. Avodah means service. Zarah, strange. But if you split the word Zarah, gives you Zar Hashem, a service that God is a stranger. By the way, somebody asked me the other day, can I buy from Zara? True question, by the way. True question. Can I buy from Zara? I knew the question. Why Zara? Because Zara is Avodah Zarah. I'm not sure that there is a halachic prohibition. I'm only just telling you how this person asked me this question. And the person was not kidding. I said, good question. I don't think that there is a problem. You know, just happened to be the name of the company that they had. But I do know that if you remember, I'm not sure if they are around in the world of business. There is a company called Forever 21. Have you heard of that company? They still alive? They give the yellow bags, right? Usually. They give you yellow bags? Gone? The bags or the company? Yeah, okay, doesn't matter. In the olden days, go to the yellow bag, and at the bottom of the yellow bag, you know what they do? They print a verse from the New Testament. True story, by the way. Maybe made in Korea, but they're very Christian. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about not to buy Forever 21, not to buy in Zara, but I'm trying to say that Avodah Zarah not necessarily is a bowing down to an idol. Avodah Zarah is something that creates a blockage between us and our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How much the Musar books tells you, don't do Avodah Zarah of the money. There is an Avodah Zarah called money. Have you heard of that Avodah Zarah? Money, cash, liquid, kesef. Why Avodah Zarah? Haz v'shalom. But why it's called Avodah Zarah? Because the person goes the extra mile in the name of money. And when I say the extra mile, I'm not telling you just working hard. But I'm telling you a person allows themselves to do a lot of things in the name of money, including working on Shabbat, not honesty, working on Yom Tov, not being honest in the business, not paying salaries on time, not giving maaser, not giving charity, etc. That's also called a mini Avodah Zarah. Maybe Avodah Zarah, most of us, we understand, has the concept of an idol. But the fact that a person allows themselves to act in such a way, it means that God is not with you. Another Avodah Zarah. Anger, kas. The Gemara says, Kol hako'es ke'ilu oved Avodah Zarah. Why anger is Avodah Zarah? Short answer. Because when a person gets upset and has wrath and has mamash, madness, he's not thinking, number one. And also, you're not really connected with Hashem. Why a person gets upset? Let's be honest. Why a person gets upset? Hazako Baruch. Because he did not get his way. And where is it written that you have to get your way all the time? I'm saying this very easy. It's very easy to say this in Florida weather, Chol hamoed pesach, no rush, everybody's enjoying the beautiful holiday. Okay, but we all know very, very well that one of the foundations of Emunah is what? Believing in Hashem. But not only believing in Hashem, believing that nothing happens in the world without Hashem's involvement. Let me see if I have my Emunah card on my wallet. I had one. You have it? Can you have it? Thank you. I thought I was the only one who carries it. Okay. Okay, I think we have these cards available outside. If you find them, bring them for the kahal. So I'm going to read this quickly. And this was Abraham Avinu. If you want to understand Abraham Avinu, how he survived, this card may give us direct messages of what is expected from each and every one of us. We need to know this. We all carry the DNA of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what's your passport color or country or origin or language. We all are Bnei Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. So here it says, number one, this comes from Chovat HaLevavot. Hashem loves me. Okay? Avinu Malkenu. Our Father, our King. Kel Melech Yosef al Kisei Rahamim. Hashem has mercy on us. Hashem is with me wherever I happen to be, and is always ready to help me. Hashem is stronger and smarter than everyone in the world, and He can find solution to problems that seem impossible to solve. Hashem knows what is best for me, even better than I myself know. Just as He helped me many times in the past, He will help me again now. No one can do anything to help or harm me other than Hashem, who has total control over everything. Hashem wants and seeks to do kindness more than the most wonderful and kind-hearted person I can imagine. This comes from Chovat HaLevavot, Sha'ar HaBitachon. This is how Abraham Avinu lived. Abraham Avinu, thank you very much. Abraham, for those watching video, okay? Take a picture for those watching. I'll give you 10 seconds. Next side. This is called a full service system. It comes included in your membership, which I think is time to renew it. You got it? You got it? Thank you so much. Thank you. Hazaku Baruch. Anyways, so this is how Abraham Avinu lived. Believing in Hashem, bonding with Hashem, and that's what the pasuk says that we started yesterday to mention it. Olam Hesed Ibaneh. If the world does not have Hesed, the world cannot function. The world cannot survive. You know how our holy rabbis called the United States of America? Malchut Shel Hesed. We welcome the next minyan into the room. Feel free to enjoy the best Pesach breakfast. Make netilat yadayim for the Masa. You can do zimun afterwards. Anyways, you know our Hachamim called the United States Malchut Shel Chesed, a nation of, a kingdom of kindness, for many reasons. Besides the freedom of religion that exists, but because of the Hesed that the United States does to their citizens and to the world. No country in the world, I believe that I'm right in what I'm going to say, I'm sure, for sure not South America, that has so many programs to help the needy, to help the elderly, to help the disabled. Okay? Maybe Eretz Israel has. Maybe some European countries have. But this Hesed, and that's what it comes today, the action points. The Hesed is with our friends as well. And it says the Hesed, as the Gemara writes in Sukkah, doesn't necessarily need to include money. Hesed could be a word of encouragement. You go visit someone that is in the hospital. You fulfill the mitzvah of Bikur Holim. That's called Hesed. Haz v'shalom, you go to a house of Shiv'ah. You fulfill the mitzvah of Nihum Avelim. That's called Hesed. You get a text or a WhatsApp or an email. Please pray for the refuah shelema of a patient that is going to have a kidney transplant or is going to have serious surgery, and you pause your day for a minute or even less, and you say a chapter of Tehillim. That is super Hesed. You give someone a word of encouragement. You lift the spirit of someone. This is Hesed. This is the Sefirah of the first day of Sefirat Omer. Hesed all around. But we're going to turn the page now. We're going to talk about the second day of the Omer. So, yes, Avraham Avinu is all around Avraham, but on the second day, we welcome also Ishaq to the picture of the world. And now Ishaq and Avraham, even though they look alike, they were father and son, but they were two opposites. Avraham Avinu, Hesed all day long. Ishaq, restraint. Ishaq, self-control. Ishaq, soldier in the army of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He did not dance in every wedding, and he had a different life than Avraham Avinu. A different way. At the end of the day, you know, Yaakov Avinu had the Shevatim, right? 12 Shevatim. And for the first 12 days of Nisan, at the end of the prayers, what do? We read the Nesi'im. And comes the reading of Hanukkah, we read the Nesi'im. Comes Perashat Naso, the longest Perashah of the Sefer, we read the Nesi'im. Do you know how many Pesukim are the Nesi'im? Make the calculation. 12 times 6, 72. Plus at the end, at least 85 to 90 Pesukim. Yani more than half than Perashat Naso is repetitious. If it's me, I add, these are the names of the Shevatim, these are the names of the leaders, and these are the Korbanot. I save you 60 Pesukim. Easy. And you're going to be very happy because the Sefer Torah will finish faster, and you're not going to looking at the clock, how long can this Aliyah will go. But the Torah, Baruch Hashem, doesn't agree to what I just said. And the Torah singles out every single leader of every single tribe and give me the full disclosure of the offering. And the answer given by our great Hachamim is to tell us that each and every one of the sons of Yaakov Avinu had a different way of serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's not like it's contradicting each other. It's different ways. You go to an ice cream store. Somebody asked me if there is a kosher ice cream store open for Pesach. Yes, there is a list outside, light yellow, bright yellow, says Kasher le Pesach, open, go check it out. Now, when you go to the ice cream store, how many flavors do you expect to have? How many? Okay, 31. Don't say that name because it's not Kasher le Pesach. Let's take Klein's from Borough Park, right? Ice cream store. Kosher brand, not a problem. You go there, you probably find, without exaggeration, 50 flavors, if not more. And some of them sell more, some of them sell less. But I'll tell you one thing. If they will only have one or two flavors, it will not be as a successful business as it is. Do you understand? Same thing with Yaakov Avinu. The idea, and I add one more sentence before I said the idea. You know, Shlomo HaMelech talks about educating children. What Shlomo HaMelech says? Hanoch la'na'ar al pi darko. The pasuk says, train your child according to his way. Who is Shlomo HaMelech talking about? Not according to the way of the parents, according to the way of the child. The problem that we have as parents is that we want to clone every child to be exactly the same. And Shlomo HaMelech already is telling us that's not the way Hashem created the world. Sure, There are basic guidelines. There is basic decorum of respect and decency and morality and irat shamayim. But maybe a child needs constant positive reinforcement and another child doesn't need it. For example, I'm only bringing examples that are tangible in everyday life. So Shlomo Melech says, Hanoch la'na'ar al pi darko. This is how you do the math and this works for you? Okay, this is the way your brain is programmed. This is how you write and it's good for you? Hazaku Baruch. This is what happened with the sons of Yaakov Avinu. Bayu bnei Yaakov shenem asar. Don't look at the number as a sign of discrepancy, but look at the number as a sign of supplementing one another. And that's the reason why the Torah in Perashat Naso isolates each offering by its own merit. Why? Because the kavanah of one was not like the kavanah of the other. And this was Ishak Avinu. Abraham went the extra mile for Hesed. Ishak teaches us a different lesson. The lesson of discipline in Avodat Hashem. And guess what? Like kindness, compassion, and benevolence, it's a mandatory requirement for the welfare of the world and also for the existence of the Jewish people. But discipline, it's equally important, because if we don't have discipline, we will not be here today. If we don't have the structure that the Torah gives us as a good way of life, we will not be here as a nation today. And we said this in the night of Pesach. Shebechol dor bador omdim alenu lechallotenu. What does it mean? In every generation, they seek our destruction. And we need to clarify this sentence, because usually when we speak about this paragraph of the Haggadah, what is the first thing we say? Holocaust, Inquisition, pogroms, communism, Cossack, terrorism, Islam, all that is true. But guess what? There is a silent war that goes against the Jewish people. And it's the concept of us allowing the outside world penetrate our life. Assimilation. But the assimilation is the end result. Assimilation doesn't happen overnight. Assimilation is one stitch at a time. One less beracha, one less minyan, one less mitzvah, one less Torah class, one less putting on tefillin, one less beracha. Eventually, the one less, it became the whole. And guess what? We have nothing that connects us with Hashem, with our forefathers, even with our parents. Assimilation, unfortunately, is alive and well. Lo aleno velo alechem. These are things that are happening daily all over the world. No nation or no country can say we are free of this challenge. America, Europe, Israel, unfortunately, South America, yes, there is a huge amount of assimilation in Israel between the Arabs and the Jewish people. Like it or not, there are institutions today that they specialize in saving Jewish girls, especially from Arabs. You should never know of this, but these are the reality of life. And they blend in perfectly. They look Sephardic. They speak Hebrew like Sephardic. They even can fake a Sephardic name. Musa Kusajibin, for those who understand, okay? Sounds, Kusajibin, yeah, I heard that in my house. That's a food, by the way. For those who understand, right? Anyways, so this is what's happening in the world. America, I think 70%. Europe, more. Or even less, but doesn't matter. Even 2% is a lot. But can you imagine double digit? So we are Am Israel. We're not saying the rest is not. But who is keeping alive the flame of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov? Each and every one of us. Each and every one who watches this class. Each and every one who listens to the class. And each and every one that has a certain level of connection. But that connection doesn't match the motto of the world. The motto of the world, or the slogan of the world today, is anti-disciplined, is anti-self-control. What they tell you, be all you can be. That's the army statement. And we're not comparing that, because at the end of the day, the army is what we are. We are in the army of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But today, society, social media, the moral world, what they tell you? Express yourself. Feel like you like to feel. Do a change of gender. God forbid. It's common today. Marry who you want. And the Torah is completely the opposite. Who we are. You are a descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. Who we are an ambassador of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Each and every one of us. It doesn't matter who you are and where you're from. We all represent Borei Olam in this world. And this is all about Yitzhak Avinu. Most of us could have stayed home and not come to Knis. But not only we come to pray, we stay for breakfast, and you stay for the class. I'm not sure if you're staying for the class or for the breakfast. So I like to say for both. This way everybody's happy. But guess what? We can take the freedom of choice and not stay. It's not 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 10:30 almost. And yet, what are we saying? It's Chol hamoed. I'm not working. I'm going out. I'm learning Torah a few minutes. I'm having a good breakfast. I'm understanding finally the counting of the Omer. This is what keeps Am Israel alive. And as long as we keep doing this, we're going to have Yitzhak Avinu next to us. Because at the end of the day, the Gemara tells us that the survival of the Jewish people throughout history, yes, is in the zechut of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, Yosef, David, Shlomo, and all the tzaddikim. But there is one advocate that the Jewish people have, the Gemara in Shabbat says, is Yitzhak Avinu. Because we are followers of Yitzhak. How? Every time we activate an action of mitzvah or preventing of doing an avon, we are activating the DNA of Yitzhak Avinu. This is what Yitzhak Avinu is all about. And this is number 2 of Sefirat HaOmer. Gevura sheba chesed. Yes, kindness is important, but also we need to have restraint. We need to have self-control. But I add one more sentence. I know you're waiting, but you may have to wait. Okay? Thank you. Mehila. Thank you. Self-control is not only in transgressions. Self-control is also in our reactions. A person cannot become, dynamite. A person suddenly explodes. One of the messages of today is self-control. The Gemara writes in Hulin, how do we keep the world alive? The Gemara tells you, אין העולם מתקיים, אלא בשביל מי שבולם פיו בשעת מריבה. שנאמר, תולה ארץ על בלימה. The Gemara in Hulin says, the world stands on the merit of the person that exercises self-control on their mouth. As the Pasuk says, Iyov, tole eres, the world is suspended, is hanging, al belima. What's the meaning of belima? I'm not saying bulimia. Breaks. Belima. Like pesach, masa, umaror. Pe, the mouth. Sah, the talking. Masa can bring argument. That's the meaning of matzah, Rabotai. Rabotai, although masa means the maso that we eat, but in the Pesach Seder we say, Mosi masa. You know what the Hidah says? Mosi masa means remove the masa, remove the strife, the argument from your home. Because if you don't do that, Pesach, masa, maror. Maror, bitterness. So how should a person speak? According to the Torah, Pesach la Hashem. Pesach la Hashem. Speak in a godly way, in a kosher way, in a clean way, in a holy way. The Yidin Machdoyit, Agit Moyed. You can reply that to our visitor from Germany. I know. The Yidin Machkit is asking in the blue how the Jewish people are doing. That's from German. We have somebody from Berlin, right? Okay. And Singapore and Vietnam and I don't know what else. But anyways, you had a question?
Although the openness that you discussed about us as Jews,
Yes.
what we're going through, does that apply to the Goyim? And if it applies, where does it say? What instructions do they have?
The Gentile nations of the world, they also have commandments to fulfill. This is called Shiv'a Mitzvot Bnei Noach. Our mission as humans is to make the world a great place to live. And the world is scary. We agree on that? Scary. At many levels. And I'm not talking about politics. Forget about politics. But insanity, promiscuity, addictions, God forbid. The world is a crazy place to live. In the olden days, you went to a kid's friend to play. And what did you play? Tic-tac-toe, Connect Four, hide and seek, marble. Now, you need to make sure that your son or daughter doesn't go to a house that, God forbid, they play video games that fries their mind, or they try forbidden substances. This is the talking of today, Rabotai. This is the talking of today, the worries of today of our society. Now, this didn't happen overnight. This went through generations, one day at a time, one day at a time, one day at a time. Now in synagogues, you talk about addictions and gambling and affairs. Haram. But this is the generation that we are in. And no one is immune. No one is immune. Every city has its own sort of headaches. Doesn't matter where you are. You need to make sure that our home become a safety zone, a safe zone, right? Safety zone or zone? Safe zone. Our home becomes a safe zone. Healthy for our children. As I said to a father the other day, whatever you're not going to give your child at home, he's going to look for it elsewhere. So give love, give affection, stop criticizing, stop complaining, stop kvetching, stop putting the person down, because you're burying your family alive. This is what I said to a father the other day. So going back to you, every human being has a mission to be a good person, a good citizen. What is the Torah ideas of a person being a good person, a good citizen? Obviously someone that is respectful of another human being. That is rule number one from the Torah. When the Recheres, even Gentiles, not to steal, not to kill, not to commit adultery. These are three basic Noahide laws. They don't need the Torah. First of all, there are millions upon millions of Gentiles who read the Bible, who read the Torah. There are millions of them that are in good essence. But the problem is that the good people don't make noise. Bottom line, a Yehudi has the guidelines of the Torah. The Goim have the 7 Noahide laws. The 7 Noahide laws, I repeat them and this will finish the class, are as follows. Believing in Hashem, not to commit, not to do idolatry, not to kill, not to steal, not to commit adultery or immorality, for the prohibition of being cruel to an animal and eating it, and the number 7, the establishment of a judicial court system. These are the 7 universal laws that every Gentile, every citizen of the world must follow. If they follow that, according to the Zohar HaKadosh, they qualify for Gan Eden, Hasidei Umot HaOlam. They are known in Torah language, the righteous citizens of the world. Every person has the power and the potential to make a difference in the world. There are many people that are very environmental friendly, right? Okay? Guess what? All that is beautiful for the environment. That doesn't change people. Changing of people is when a person changes. And guess what? You don't have to promote the changes to the world. Just by us becoming better, that brings a great level of normalcy and holiness into the entire worldwide, the beautiful world that Hashem created. תזכו לשנים רבות, מועדים לשמחה to everybody. ברוך אדוני לעולם, אמן.